All right, let's take a look at this one. Good old Poulan Pro. So here's the story on this thing. Elderly lady was selling it, and they put a new battery into it. I think they changed the oil, but not the filter. They were asking $200. I offered them $150. They accepted $150. This was ahead of time. I got there, found out it was an elderly lady. This gentleman was helping out the elderly lady, and I was actually a little concerned. He was like, "Hey, follow me around the corner. We're going to this other house." I'm like, what am I getting myself into? But it all worked out well. He was very nice. I was thinking, how are they making any money off this thing? $150 if they just bought like a $30, $40 battery. I tried to make sure they're okay with that. I was like, kind of told them that. And he's like, 200 would be nice. So I went ahead and gave him $200 for it. That's a little bit of the backstory. The mower itself actually runs and drives, so that's good. The deck turns on. It looks a little rougher than some of the other mowers that we've got, but I think it'll clean up nicely. The seat foam is nasty. We'll need to get a seat cover for it. It does run, drive, and cut, but the engine lopes. So it's probably got the pilot circuit clogged in the carburetor or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really want to idle, but it ran okay. Higher throttle, and then you put under load, it evens out. These are the decks that are notorious for braking, at least in my experience. This one is good on that side, and this is the side that normally brakes right here. And looks like somebody's put an extra weld bead on there already, so hopefully this one's good to go. All right, let's get this beauty unloaded. All right, let's see if we can fire up this mower and bring it into the shop and get it running a little bit better and a little bit closer to being able to sell. One thing of note is this seat it's pretty bad. I was gonna throw a seat cover on it, but I have this other seat foam that's been lying around. I just set it there, which is the same size and it's in better condition. So the only difference is this one says Craftsman, the other one says Poulan Pro. But you know what? If I'm putting a seat cover on it, it may not really make much difference. So regardless, let's see if this thing will fire up and drive into the shop. A little cold-blooded, are we? She needs some carb work for sure. I think that may be about it though. Tires seem to be holding air for the most part. A little concerned that the back tires are mismatched and that might affect the deck height. We'll start with the carburetor, see if we can get this thing cleaned up and running a little bit better. It needs more fuel. So there's a surprise under here, but I already know because I already looked before I brought them over into the shop. Probably not what you're thinking though. Yeah, we're not missing the air filter. It's just completely backwards. When you put it backwards, it does not line up over here. I mean, this part over here is similar in shape, but over here, where it sucks air into the carb, it's not quite normal. Because it fits this way. Which is interesting, because you'd feel like, air is getting sucked this way into the carburetor, but it's not. It comes through the housing, through here, and this goes into the carburetor right there. That means we got some unfiltered air into this engine, unfortunately, but I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. This carburetor looks almost oddly clean, so I'm wondering if somebody put in an aftermarket carburetor here, or maybe somebody's already done some work on here. It is a Fram oil filter, so it's not a Chinese or whatever no-name oil filter. That's a good sign. Briggs and Stratton. Okay, so that's a Briggs and Stratton filter. Maybe it's just a very clean OEM carb. We'll see. Alright, here we go. Trying to figure out what's going on here. It's been a long time since I looked at one of these carburetors, but that does not look like the right kind of jet for the outside of a carburetor. I'm not quite sure. I'm not expecting that, but again, it's been a minute since I've worked on a single cylinder Briggs. Okay, I see a threaded hole here with nothing in it. I might need to go dig up a comparison carb for me to look at. All right, well, I got the carburetor taken apart, tried to clean it out as best I could and put it back together. It really looked pretty clean, and I figured out that this jet on top doesn't actually go all the way through from the top, so it makes sense now. It has holes in the side. I don't know. I kind of wonder if it's adjustable in some way or form, but there's no spring under it to lock it in place. So normally adjustable ones have a spring to keep them tension and to stay in their place. And they don't normally. You just put them all the way in. I put it all back together, and it actually runs, and I adjusted up the idle speed just a bit, and I made sure that this was on here nice and tight, because one thing I noticed is when I disassembled it, when I took off the nuts that hold this on, which I don't know if you can see, but there would be a couple of nuts on here that hold the this piece on. When I took those nuts off, these studs were backing out, so it seemed like maybe they were put in too loose, so it could have been sucking some air in at this seal right here. With those snug down in there, and with the throttle backed out a little bit, it seems to run a little bit better, at least once it's warmed up. I can also manually hold the choke here, which helps, because normally the choke is only full throttle. With that said, let's give it another test run. It's cooled off just a little bit, but let's let you guys see and judge for yourselves. So we got it at idle, choke on. I think that sounds a lot better, or as one of my kids would say, a lot much better. Yeah, I think that idle is just a little higher than you would normally have, but I don't think it's a big deal. So, that said, I think it's time to try to put this thing back together. Alright, well, I got it back together. I had a new air filter, so I threw one in instead of one that had been run backwards. But honestly, looking at this one, I don't really think it was run backwards that long, because the side that should be dirty kind of has most of the dirt, and there's some dirt down in there. I don't know if you can see in some of these. Now it's time to test this thing out again and see if it runs with everything back together. I'm very hopeful it will. She sounds pretty good, I think. A lot much better than she did before. So that's a win. All right. This thing's got a good battery. I checked the oil. It looks pretty clean, pretty full. I may throw another fuel filter on there because this one looks nasty. But other than that, I think we just need our seat cover and to air up some tires and to make sure everything's clean. And then this thing might be ready to go. I'll go ahead and get some air in those tires right quick. I'll give this thing a minute to catch up, and then we'll air up that front tire and the back tire and try to get the back tire similar in size. So I measured, and my back right side is sitting just a little lower than my back left side. I don't think it has to be perfect on something like this, but it'd be nice if it was pretty close. I don't really think it's worth buying another tire, and I don't have any here that are available that quite match. We'll try to air it up a little bit, see if we can get it to match the overall diameter. On the front, it doesn't really matter since it's on a wishbone. It kind of takes the average of your two tires. If your two tires are unequal, it won't affect your deck. One more thing I noticed on here that would be quick and easy to fix is the steering wheel is not centered. Alright, so I found a fuel filter, so we'll go ahead and replace that real quick because this one's kind of nasty looking. I actually already just disconnected it. And I kind of think this fuel filter was installed backwards. Normally, the part of the filter you can see is on the upstream side, so you can see if it's dirty or not. The way they have it here, fuel's flowing through the middle, you wouldn't be able to see if it was clean or dirty, honestly. That, and when I was messing with it, this joint here at the carburetor was leaking a little bit, and this hose has a bend in it, because I think the original carburetor probably had a straight in and out nipple or something different. So I'm just going to cut off that portion of hose here and slide that on there. Just trying to do little bitty things that we can do to just make this be a good value for whoever purchases it next. Yep, there's an arrow showing to go that way, and this puppy was running this way. This puppy does a great job on fuel lines. I don't know what it's called. I just know that I got one in a bunch of tools that I purchased that were used, and we'll use it here now. Usually does a great job. Let's see if he spilled. Oh, there we go. Ah, new fuel filter installed. I will show you all the connector right here real quick for the headlights. These get melted real easy. This one was melted. I'm not gonna bother fixing that one. Not much left of it. Most people don't mow in the dark. All right, I think we're done with this thing until we pretty it up. Maybe I'll even try my torch on the mower chute to make it look a nicer black again. I don't know. All right, well, the seat covers did just come, so I'm gonna see if I ordered the right size. Hopefully I did. Oh, that's perfect. That makes this thing look a lot better. So we really just need to wash this thing and try to polish it up a little bit. Like, get this yellow thing looking yellow again, stuff like that. What on earth is that? It's like it's taunting me. That's annoying. I may have to give up on that one for now. And then grease didn't hardly do anything. Alright, well, let's see if this thing will start up okay after sitting overnight. We need to get it out of the shop so we can get other stuff in here. It just needs a bath at this point, I think. And I did go ahead and pull out the headlight assemblies to try to give them a quick clean. They're over here drying. Now, the thing is with these headlights is that chrome paint, I guess it is, will rub off and come off real easily. So you gotta be careful. Sometimes they get worse when you're trying to get them better. Like, you get the dirt off, but maybe there's no shiny chrome underneath the dirt. So it is what it is. Let's see if she starts up and see if we can get it out of here. Got another more I need to get in. Done with her for now. I'll probably try to get a few mowers ready to go and then clean them all up at once. Let's see, this is a Thursday. Maybe this afternoon I can clean up a couple. Try to get them listed for sale. Hopefully, well, maybe tomorrow. So we can try to sell them on Saturday. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, there she is. Definitely cleaner and maybe a little bit shinier. So I did go ahead and break out the polisher because there were some spots on here I wanted to get polished up like this, and honestly it didn't really get that scuffing out all the way. So maybe I needed to hit it with something a little more abrasive first. The hood didn't need much, and the polishing kind of brought the shine back to it. Also on this front plastic here, looks pretty good. Yeah, these other parts here that weren't damaged, they're really nice looking now. But over here where we had all this scratched on stuff on the side, I hit that with 1000 grit sandpaper, and then we polished it, and it definitely looks better than it did because it doesn't have all the white paint in there from whatever was being rubbed against. Doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look terrible. But mower definitely looks better than it did before, and I want to try something else out here. I want to see if I can use the torch to make this black again, get some of the oxidation taken care of. And I'm not really concerned about it because it's a pretty thick plastic chute. I think this is a great guinea pig to see if I can make it look better. So I've never done this before. Alright, let's let that cool off and see what it looks like. It's hard to get up under some of those ridges. Definitely looks a lot shinier right now, but we'll see what it looks like when it cools off. Okay, it's just warm now. that's about what it's gonna look like. Wow, that looks really good to me. I would definitely consider doing that again. I probably hit it a little too much. I don't know how shiny you want it, but definitely still has texture. I don't know, what do you guys think? Was that worth it? Is that a terrible idea? I think for a nice thick discharge chute, it may not be a bad idea. All right, there she is in all her glory. Oh, I forgot to put the seat cover back on. Wow, she's looking good now. I was a little worried about that. I wasn't sure how much she'd come back. I went ahead and hit the other spindle cover on the other side there. I just put the headlights back in. They could stand to be shinier and brighter, but headlights don't work, so. All right, I think this thing's ready to sell. So of course, now that I'm trying to list this thing for sale, I'm finding other issues with it that I didn't fully realize before. One is that the brake is not there. It's like disconnected. I don't know if there's a reason for that. It's not a big deal since this is a hydrostatic drive. Like you let off on the pedal and it'll stop you really quick. If you're like trying to come to a complete stop and leave it there, it'll creep. Especially if you put the clutch in, which disengages the transmission, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think because normally the clutch activates the brake. So that's one issue. And the second is that, I don't know why this didn't present itself before, but on the carburetor here, the choke will get stuck in full choke if you run it all the way out. So observe choke linkage here. We've got this thing here, which activates that butterfly. So if you go all the way there, it gets stuck. If you come out to about, if you come all the way out, it gets stuck. If you go right there, it's fine. But if you push that last little bit, it gets stuck. So now I'm going to activate it with the hand lever. Take off. And it stays on. If you work it a couple times, it'll free itself. So that's a little bit of an issue. And of course the headlights are disconnected because that plug was melted out. That and the transmission's really dirty on there. So I don't know if it has a transmission leak. Probably just got hot. Maybe some fluid burped out, but it seems to work fine. That's a problem to used stuff, is it's not ever going to be new. And what should a buyer expect? Should they expect it to be 100% flawless, perfect, like brand new, and will last as long as brand new? Or it's used and there are things that may happen? A little annoying. It's like, that's one reason I've always avoided, kind of sometimes avoided flipping mowers, is it seems like there's always these little issues that pop up. And when you part stuff out, you can just avoid bad parts. But if you're trying to test and sell the expensive parts, they can still have some issues. Now, I will say one small win is that from the whole washing process, we seem to have made this lever quieter. It does not make the awful noise that it used to make. That's good. I'll probably go ahead and list it the way it is and see if anyone wants to buy it. I'll probably list it at $750. Try to get $650 for it. Well, good morning. I haven't had much interest on this mower over the weekend. So I decided to do a little more work to it, try to eliminate the issues that it has. So the first thing that I've done, this was pretty simple, was basically the choke was sticking. So what I did to try to resolve that was adjust the throttle cable here so that when the choke comes up all the way here, it doesn't quite hit the point where it sticks. So now this always returns. So it is like right borderline on where it sticks because it'll stick right there. That issue has been resolved. You don't have to tell people that there's a sticking choke because it doesn't stick when you use it. The headlights. So I don't even know if the headlight bulbs are any good, but I think what I'm going to do for this is I could try to steal a plug from John Cood maybe, but I'm kind of leaning towards just working with these right here, seeing if I can just do my own spade connectors out of one of these kits to see if they can fit over the spades that are already in that connector. Just kind of do it on one side, or I'll just replace both mating sides, so to speak, of the plug. As we've got spades in here inside this plug, so if I just do the other side that can fit on there, you know, that could work if they're the right size. As long as there's conductiveness, that'd be really all that's necessary. On my parking brake issue, you know, it's kind of funny. The rod that actuates the parking brake is like entirely gone. Like there's nothing in there. This little spot right here, that's where the parking brake is supposed to connect to the transmission. Well, there's nothing there. This is the brake lever. You can see in here, around the fuel line, if you can look around it, down there, up, pan down. That's where it's supposed to connect. So that pin you see in there, I don't know if you can, but basically right in here, that pin, it's got some space on it. So basically the rod would connect on this side of the arm, if that makes sense. This is the arm that actuates. And it turns out I've got one on a parts machine I can use, like one that was about destined for the scrap heap. So let me show you. So right here is a very similar mower. It's just orange. Here, this is the rod. This is the rod I need, and this is the spring that would connect to that little ear on the transmission that connect from there. It's very similar to what we were looking at. You can see that pin, and there's the rod right there closest to us, connected on there. So I think I'm gonna steal that off here, see if I can install it on the other one, and hopefully there's not a reason that it was disconnected and removed. Hopefully it was just something broke or fell off or whatever. I don't know how it would have entirely fallen off. Maybe it came off part way, they decided to remove it the rest of the way. But I'm hoping there's not like an issue with the brakes in the transmission, which is why they would have taken it off. But we'll find out. I kind of want to remove that barrier from someone buying it. Just try to eliminate these issues. I've got the parts. Let's go ahead and put it on there and try to sell this thing as functional as possible. It's kind of hard to see all that stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that off and try to put that on there and then catch up with you folks. Well, folks, after much work, I would like to report that I've made a lot of headway. However, I'm not sure if that's true. Obviously, I fixed the choke issue earlier, and I've been working on the brake pedal linkage. I robbed the parts that I wanted to rob, but for some reason, they didn't fit so good in here. So basically, I got stuck where there was too much tension on the spring for me to connect it really well. This end is on the transmission, the other end connected to that rod, which connected to the brake pedal. After much finagling, I finally got it on, but it was so tight that the brake was always engaged. Maybe this is giving us a clue on what was going on here. I don't know. So I tried to use another spring, which is not strong enough. I looked at my other parts mower over there, and it did not have the spring anymore, so I don't know where that went. After much deliberation, I decided to make an additional link in my chain, which basically connected the spring to the rod. So I used a piece of this kind of wire. I was able to see on a complete good mower that it should be loose. When the brake is disengaged, it should be loose. Like, it would be really easy to take the spring off and on. But I pull the brake, then it puts tension on there, which the whole mower is rolling forward when I try to do that, but you can kind of get the idea. Now when you push the brake pedal all the way, it puts the brake on. So that is good. So in addition to that, I elected to swap out this handle here. We did have the dirty yellow. And also, we're working on the headlights here. I was going to put a spade connector on here, and it was going to work, but then I realized when I took apart the old melted out connector that the wires could essentially, they already had spades on them, complete spades, so I could just slide them straight on here, and I can't do this with one hand. Basically, I've got a spade on here with a tensioner spring, and it just slides straight in there, put it on there. So if we have headlight issues, it's not because of the melted plug anymore, but they're not working. So maybe when I turn the mower on, then they will work. I don't know. Hopefully we've eliminated the major issues on this mower, and it's better now. All right, it is March 9th, and it's time for the first mowing of the year. Let's test this mower out. Whoops. All right, there you have it. It was the first mowing of the year. It didn't cut really pretty. I think it's because it's so weedy. I probably should have cut a little shorter. Hey, the grass is shorter than it was. All right, so we have someone coming to look at this mower, hopefully here in just a few minutes. And it is a windy, sunny day. Hopefully they buy it, and hopefully it works out well for them. We'll see. We haven't even talked about price yet, so we shall see what they think. All right, we sold it for $640. He said he didn't have the extra 10 on him. I was hoping for $650, but hey, that's money in the bank. We got this one done and out of here. We can move on to other stuff. All right, well, this completes our first flip on the challenge. So that $640 that we sold it for, we paid $200 for it. We paid about $20 for a seat cover. And I'm trying to remember, I don't think we paid for anything else. We had a fuel filter and some carb cleaner. Oh, air filter, that was the other thing, which is really cheap, like a $5 air filter. Yeah, so we put maybe 30 bucks into it. So 640 minus 230 means we made $410, which is money in the bank. So let's go do another one. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and don't be afraid to get out there and break a wrench, but stay safe, spend time with your family. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.